Hello there, it's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So it's Star Wars Day, so what better way to celebrate than to talk about some Star Wars construction characters. So hey, if you want to build a Star Wars themed Bionicle mock, today's the day. Hopefully this will give you some inspiration. The first mock today is by GGhost123 and they've made CAD Bane and Toto. This is one of those mocks that, when I first saw it, it made my jaw drop. I love this. This just perfectly captures the likeness of CAD Bane. I mean, look at that head design, for example. From the dark brown dish to make the hat, and all those other details like the handlebars and dark brown minifigure hands on top, he really matched the design that we actually see on his official hats. Genius stuff. And then there's the face. It's perfect. I love how they've used a 1x1 cone piece for his blue nose, and then they've left the slightest little gap at the bottom there, and that kind of looks a little bit like his mouth. That's just so freaking cool. Yeah, and this whole coat situation is brilliant as well, using a lot of curve slopes to mimic the ebbs and flows that you often see on clothing. It's just very well translated into Lego. And then I love how the back looks. The way that it flows down over to his legs, it's so seamless and so pretty. And look at how it ends as well, using a fairly new piece here. This is a corner piece that often appears on a lot of roofs in like architecture sets or Ninjago sets. You see it used on pagodas and different things like that. But yeah, using it here, it perfectly rounds off that design. This silver belt is also very clever. It's using some of the connecting sprue pieces that connect the two shuriken pieces together. Again, this is something you see on a lot of Ninjago sets. You're kind of just meant to throw that middle piece away. It's not really meant for anything. But it does have a stud connection on it, and it looks really cool. So hey, if you've got some in silver, or if you've got some in gold as well, put them on a belt design like we see here. There's something very Star Wars about it. It looks really nice, and it does look decently accurate to the source material too. Toto also looks fantastic. It's great to see him getting a little bit of love, and it's great to see him built in a very accurate way, especially at this small of a scale. That head design has to be my favorite part, especially that line down the middle, which once again, fairly accurate. And not an easy thing to pull off as well. That's very well done. But hey, look, I've said a lot about this and I love a lot about this, but I think my favorite thing here has to be this finger design. Using blue minifigure hands, it literally looks exactly like CAD Bane's actual fingers. They nailed that. This whole thing is just amazing. Now, before we move over to the next mock, I know this episode ends with a 0, and traditionally, whenever an episode does that, I do a fan-submitted mocks episode. Every 10th episode is one, after all. So I'm just going to bump that fan-submitted mocks episode over to the next episode, because, hey, this happened to fall on May 4th, and it happened to fall on a Saturday when I post BIS episodes. It was just too perfect, I had to do it. So, you're still going to get your fan-submitted mocks episode, don't you guys worry, but it'll just be coming out in the next one, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, onto another stunning mock now. This is a Magna Guard, one of General Grievous's bodyguards, and this was built by Bobacat Mox. Now, this is another perfect replication of the original design. The only thing that's missing here is the cape, but I think that actually would have been very difficult to mimic and recreate with existing Lego cloth pieces. Because there's not really many like tan or almost kind of white cloth pieces out there, especially ones that would be able to give you a hood and a like full body cape. And hey, in both animated material and movies, we see General Grievous's bodyguards without capes, so it's not really that big a deal. Now, this is one of the best examples of blending system pieces and CCBS construction elements that I've ever seen. So we can see the shoulders, well, more specifically like the shoulder armor, and this leg design here. They're using CCBS pieces in silver. These ones specifically, in this color, they appear on the Captain Phasma set. Now, using these parts, it really was the perfect way to replicate these armor details and make it look how it actually does. Plus too, the way it's been integrated, it doesn't look weird. Yet sometimes you see very system-heavy mocks, and they integrate a little bit of CCBS into it, and it looks a little out of place. It doesn't really blend with everything else. But here, that's not the case at all. It just makes sense and it works. I think the reason for that is because there's a few other silver pieces scattered around the place, like on the fingers and some of the beams on the lower arm as well. Plus, a lot of these system pieces, they also have fairly similar textures and angles to them that match these CCBS pieces, so it's just a good fit. The balance there is just perfect. But yeah, all these other system editions, they're very well executed. I mean, look at this back design, using a lot of these flag pieces to form a very smooth look. It's stunning. And then we've got a great body design and a phenomenal and accurate head design. It's a mock like this that just goes to show CCBS pieces, they're the best thing for the job sometimes. Yeah, they're gonna make your mock look perfect. And then sometimes system pieces are very much needed for that kind of like detail work and to really shape body parts to be accurate and realistic. Oh, and I do like this staff as well. The trans clear as well as the trans pink and purple details, mesmerizing. And hey, this hilt here, it uses some of the lightsaber hilt pieces, the same kind of pieces we see on a lot of the other Star Wars Ultra Build sets, specifically the characters that had lightsabers. So cool. Now, time for another droid. This is K2SO by DeadGlitch71. So of course we had the wonderful K2SO Ultra Build set, and actually it was one of the best Ultra Build sets we got. But there were some details that were left out. As we can see on images here, there's things like this, the yellow ring on the shoulders, and a few other details here and there. They weren't on that official set. So, a revamp like this that adds that kind of stuff, it's just good to see. So this whole torso design, honestly, it's lovely. Very compact and very similar to the original. And check out this waist as well, the way that the connection points at the bottom kind of flare out at a diagonal angle. That's just a really nice looking design. These arms are pretty cool as well, using a lot of these 2x2 round bricks. Very nice idea. And look man, Star Wars fans, they love a really cool and accurate toy that depicts their favorite characters, so hey, why not revamp one of the other existing Ultra Build sets and make them as accurate as possible? It's a fun challenge and people are gonna love to see it. Now it's Jango Fett, and this was made by Nobu Terry. So this is another character that appeared as a set, and now this builder here is making them a little bit more accurate. So Nobu Terry, I think, did a brilliant job. I especially love these blaster holders that we see on the upper legs in brown. Using a few of those bar pieces there to look like a strap that connects it onto the belt. That's such a lovely inclusion. And also the inclusion of these is incredibly accurate. You can see it here on the OG Jango Fett. Yeah, I love stuff like this. Small little additions that look really cool and really elevate the design. Now, the original set, it did have a very fun and unique blaster design that did its best to copy the blaster that we see in the movies. But I don't know, these blasters on the mock, they do look just that little bit better. I think it's because it has a bit more of a thinner design and it just really stands out. We also get a glimpse at the jetpack on the back in this image. And also, looking at this here, we can see that the overall design has been modified a little bit. I mean, hey, a lot of people, they love to tweak and evolve their designs over time. Sometimes having like 50 different versions of one mock. All because, oh, the belt didn't look quite right, I'm going to modify that. Or I wasn't satisfied with the arms, so I've changed them up. Or, oh, it's been 5 or 6 years now, I'm going to like really redo the torso because their building skills have evolved and they could build it a lot better today. So why not do exactly that? Whether it's on a Star Wars mock or a pre-existing mock that you've already made that isn't Star Wars related, why not make some slight modifications and improve a design just that little bit more, because I'm sure your building skills have evolved since the last time you made that. Some satisfying tweaks like that, sometimes that's the best thing to do. Now for a bit of a silly build, this is Welcome to Portland, Here is Your Guide, and it's built by Patrick Biggs. Now look, a good, serious Star Wars build, it's nice to see, we all love it, but sometimes something a bit more silly and out there, that's also very refreshing and very fun to see. Now, if you're not familiar with them, this is the Unipiper, who's a bit of a Portland personality. So they're like a unicyclist, they're a street performer, they're a bagpiper, they're an internet celebrity, they're the whole package. And look, like you can see in this image here, they sometimes wear a Darth Vader suit and play bagpipes with flames coming out of the back. And it's a delight to see Patrick perfectly and very accurately recreate this dude. I mean, using the Ultra Build Darth Vader helmet and the torso pieces, that was kind of a no-brainer. And also, it's the perfect place to use those pieces outside of the context of Darth Vader. There's not really much you could do with that Darth Vader helmet other than use it as, well, a piece to make a Darth Vader mock. It's just too iconic. You couldn't put that on a Bionicle mock or something, it would look too much like Darth Vader. But if you do it like this, yes, it's still technically Darth Vader, but it's not a Darth Vader mock, it's some dude in Portland. So it's pretty much the best thing you can do to use this piece outside of a semi-Star Wars context. My favorite part though has to be this kilt design. It's very well made. All these different wedge plates at different angles and how each section rests at different heights. It honestly matches the look and feel of real cloth, but it's made out of plastic bricks. There's a real skill to that, isn't it? Mimicking cloth but not using cloth. And speaking of which, I love how Patrick has used these tire pieces here on the legs so that it looks like socks that have been rolled up at the top. Genius stuff. Plus we also see some tan bricks here for some exposed human skin. It's perfection. This is honestly a very, very well built mock, and there's tons of great techniques in this. Super accurate, super fun. The last mock today is a bit of a different one. We all know and love General Grievous, but before he was a cyborg, he was a Kalish warrior, and Zyantro has made a version of him when he was pre-cyborg. So comparing the two together, it's a pretty nice replication. The idea of using a witch doctor mask and then putting some red lines on it, I assume that's just with Sharpie or something, that's about the best you can do to replicate that face. Short of building a custom brick built one with a lot of different system pieces and stuff, but I don't know, there's a nice charm about just using an existing skull-like mask. It works. Now, there's a lot of cloth pieces used here on this mark. You know, whether that's the brown cape at the back, or the dark tan Ray Ultra Build cloth piece that's on the torso. I like that that's being included here, by the way, because, you know, seeing the cloth up the top there, it makes all the other dark tan pieces also look like cloth, instead of looking like dark tan armor. Oh, and by the way, those two dark tan Technic panel pieces on the waist, that is a lovely way to round off this cloak. These robes are just very, very well done. So the source material has a lot of like bandages and wraps around the body, and this mark uses a lot of white rubber bands to kind of pull off a similar look. I like that. Yeah, rubber bands are a very helpful piece. Obviously, you can use them for more like play features and Technic functions and different things, or you can just wrap them around pieces and it creates a lovely looking aesthetic. All sorts of good stuff you can do with those pieces. Oh, and this staff is fantastic. The way it ends up the top here, magnificent. Something about it that looks very like sci-fi and space-like. I think that's all because of the weird angles of these blade pieces, especially the two of them together like that. It's so trippy, but it's pretty cool. So that has it. That's it for some Star Wars themed Bionicle creations on May 4th. Be sure to check the links in the description below and see more from the builders that I featured today. And like I said, the next BIS episode will be a Fan Submitted Mox episode, since this was supposed to be that. Anyway, happy Star Wars Day, guys. If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go on Disney Plus and watch Tales of the Empire, because I need to know what happens to Barriss Offee. It's been so many years. Love you tons, happy building, and bye for now.